Hello, this is lesson 9 from module 5, and basically today we are doing the same thing that we did in lesson 8, just in reverse. Instead of decomposing, today we are composing the shaded fractions into larger fractional units. Yesterday we were doing smaller fractional units. We are expressing the equivalent fraction in a number sentence using division, whereas before we were doing multiplication. So the first one, they had 2 fourths, and then they do these red kind of boxes to show, well, really these are a half, and to get there we had to divide by 2/2. So this next one is 3/6. We're gonna put it into it, compose it into the bigger equivalent fraction. Sorry, it's not a bigger equivalent fraction. I guess it's bigger pieces, but it's going to be the same size. So we are going to divide this by 2/2, and it will be 1/2. C is 5/10. If we put it back together to make it into halves, we're going to divide again by 2/2 to get it to become 1/2. 4/8. We're going to put it back together into halves, and we'd have to divide this one by 4/4 to make it be a half. So just like multiplying to make equivalent fractions, as long as you have the same number in the numerator and the denominator, you're going to get an equivalent fraction. Okay, number 2. Compose the shaded fractions into larger fractional units. Express the equivalent fractions in a number sentence using division. So we've got 2/6 here. We're going to compose that into thirds. If we divide this by 2/2, we'll get 1/3. For B, we've got 2/8, right? This is an eighth and this is an eighth. We're going to put it back together. We can divide this again by 2/2 and get 1/4. So instead of 2/8, we have 1/4. 2/10. Going to make these into fifths. Looks like fifths. 2/2 is our division, and we get 1/5. 2/12. We're going to divide by 2 again. All of these are divided by 2/2, and that equals 1/6, because this much is 1/6. This is C and D from the last page, but I wanted that to stay there so that we could do E. So the size, I'm sorry, I should read the question. What happened to the size of the fractional units when you compose the fraction? So when we went from the 2/10 to it being 1/5, and we went from the 2/12 to being 1/6, the size of the fractional units increased, right? We have bigger, instead of 2 small little 12s, we have 1 big 6th. So that is increased. And F, what happened to the total number of units in the whole when you compose the fraction? So the total number of units decreased, right? Because instead of in C having 10 of them, we went down to 5. And in D, instead of having 12 pieces, we went down to 6. So that is decreased. Three, in the first area model, show 2/6. So I went ahead and drew 2/6. In the second area model, show 3/9. I already have drawn 3/9. show how both fractions can be renamed as the same unit fraction. So you can see that I have the same amount shaded. So they are both going to equal 1/3. And for our division, for 2/6, we can divide by 2/2. And for 3/9, we can divide by 3/3. And for both of them, we come back to 1/3, just like our picture showed. Aren't fractions fun? So 4 is basically the same as 3. We just have a different set of fractions. So in the first area model show 2/8, I have already drawn 2/8. In the second area model show 3/12, which I have shown. And we want to show how both fractions can be composed or renamed as the same unit fraction. So we can see that 2/8 is that much and 3/12 is that much. They are the same amount. They are both ending up being 1/4 of that rectangle. So our equation with the division is 2/8 divided by 2/2 equals 1/4, and 3/12 divided by 3/3 also equals 1/4. So there you have it. With the division sentence and the picture, we can see all those equivalent fractions. So 2/8, 3/12, 1/4, they are all equivalent. That is the end of Module 5.